I'm on a Zoom presentation.
All right, I may go ahead and mute anyone that I hear some feedback on. You'll just have to unmute later on.
Okay, and I'll be muting myself after I'm done doing the intro here. But welcome, everyone. This is the Glen Cove IDA public hearing for Georgica Green Ventures. Today is May 6th, 2021. It is now 6:03 p.m. And I want to welcome everyone. Good evening. My name is Timothy Tanky. I am the chairman of the... Oh, and Joe is here as also. Good. I'm the chairman of the Glen Cove IDA. And tonight we'll be holding a public hearing on the Georgica Green Affordable Housing Project. In a minute, I will ask the IDA Council to read the legal notice. But first, I just wanted to say a few words about how this hearing will be conducted this evening. In the past, IDA public hearings have been very one-sided. The public can make comments, and that was basically it. I do not think that that's very meaningful or transparent. As IDA chairman, I have changed the way that we do that we are conducting these public hearings. In the past, IDA board members rarely attended these types of hearings, but I am proud to say that we have 5 board members here this evening in attendance. So after the official notice is read, we have asked the developer to make a presentation about the project, the financial assistance that is requested, and why they believe financial assistance is required. We have allotted 10 minutes for that presentation. Then we will open up the hearing to the IDA board and representatives of any affected taxing jurisdictions to make comments or ask questions. We have allotted 20 minutes for those questions. And finally, and most importantly, we will open up the hearing to the general public for their comments and questions. We have set aside 30 minutes for those comments and questions. Questions about the project may be answered by the developer. Questions regarding the IDA process may be answered by our executive director, Ann Fangman, or by our legal counsel, Millen Tyler. Any questions that cannot be answered tonight for whatever reason will be answered as soon as possible and posted on the IDA's website. Lastly, we will hold this public hearing open until May 20th, and people can send their comments to us via email. So with that being said, I want to welcome everyone here this evening, and I'm going to turn it over to Millen and ask him to please read the public hearing notice.
I get the boring part. This public hearing is being held pursuant to Section 859A of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York. The purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for all interested parties to present their views with respect to the proposed project and the proposed additional financial assistance. Because of the restrictions on meetings and gatherings in effect pursuant to executive orders issued by the governor of the state of New York, this public hearing is being streamed via Microsoft Teams and conference call rather than a public hearing open to the public to attend in person. Georgica Green Ventures is an affordable housing developer based on Long Island and has developed myriad such projects across the region. Georgica Green, through its affiliate, Garvies Point Workforce LLC, a limited liability company organized and existing under the laws of the state of New York, and an affiliate of G&G Garvies Point LLC, another limited liability company organized and existing under the laws of the state of New York, initially presented a certain application for financial assistance to the agency, which application requested that the agency consider undertaking the following proposed project. The consent by the agency to the assignment of all right, title, and interest in into the Block G lease, Block G leaseback, and the related original transaction documents, as such terms are defined in the authorizing resolution, I'll talk about in a minute, to the company in the place of G&G. B, the construction, installation, and equipping of buildings and improvements on the Block G parcel as contemplated by the Block G leaseback agreement by the company as agent of the agency. C, the acquisition of certain furniture, fixtures, equipment, and machinery necessary for the completion of the Block G improvements, collectively the Block G equipment, and together with Block G parcel and the Block G improvements, the Block G facility. And D, the granting of certain financial assistance within the meaning of Section 854.14 of the GML with respect to the foregoing, including potential exemptions or partial exemptions from sales and use taxes and mortgage recording taxes. By resolution adopted by the members of the agency back on August 18th of 2020, that's the authorizing resolution, the agency approved the proposed project and the granting of the additional financial assistance. The company has now submitted an amended application requesting that the agency grant certain additional financial assistance with respect to the proposed project in the form of additional exemptions from sales and use taxes, additional exemptions from mortgage recording taxes, and an exemption from real property taxes for a period of 10 years. And that exemption would commence effective on the expiry date of the existing master tax agreement with respect to the Block G project facility. The Block G project facility would be initially owned, operated, or managed by the company or its designee. Subject to applicable law, copies of the application, including an analysis of the costs and benefits of the proposed project, will be available for review by the public online at the IDA's website, www.glencoveida.org. Click on the public meeting tab. A video recording of this public hearing will be posted on the agency's website in accordance with Section 857 of the New York General Municipal Law. With all that being said, I'd like to turn the hearing over to the Developers Council, Dan Deegan, to introduce the project and describe the financial assistance being requested.
Okay,
Dan?
just before you do that, Dan, hold on one second. I want to make a correction in what I had said earlier. The meeting is going to be held open for the public until May 11th. We'll receive comments from the public up to May 11th, and then we're going to have our meeting on this as planned for May 20th. So I just want to make sure that is clear, that you can respond if you don't get a chance to do it tonight or you think it's something after. Make sure it's in by May 11th to us, and then after that we're going to have our meeting on May 20th. So with that being said, Dan, please, it's all yours now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, thank you, Mill and Tyler. As you indicated, my name is Dan Deegan. I'm with the law firm Porcelli, Deegan, Trana. We're counsel to the applicant. The applicant is an affiliate of Georgica Green, as was mentioned, and we have with us tonight Dave Gallo, who's the principal of Georgica Green. After I give an overview of the project and the requested assistance, I'm going to ask Dave just to do a quick overview of his company. Georgica Green, as you'll hear, and as probably everybody, at least certainly the board members know, is a company that specializes in building affordable housing. Not only building it, but operating it, managing it into the future. They've done projects across the region and have an excellent track record for doing so. The project we're here to talk about tonight is down on the Glen Cove waterfront. It's known as Block G. We're talking about building a brand new apartment building, which would have 55 affordable housing units. It would be a beautiful building. It's obviously at this point has been fully approved by the zoning authorities of the city, by the city council, by the planning board, and is consistent with the master plan for the development of the waterfront. The project, if it's able to go forward, would represent a $32 million investment in Glen Cove. That $32 million would be funded through a mix of public and private sources, as all affordable housing projects are, including low-income housing tax credits from New York State, home funds, and also conventional financing. The affordability of a project like this is achieved by controlling the costs and the ongoing expenses, and that's why one of the reasons that we've received so many, that we have to receive the various public funding sources, and one of the reasons why we're here before the IDA requesting financial assistance. To remind everybody, this Block G is the affordable component of the luxury waterfront. There's a very large residential project that's been approved and is actually under construction and in full swing down at the waterfront. But most of that is luxury or high-end housing, which is great for the city of Glen Cove. But this parcel was put aside as one of the parcels for affordable housing, and this project would be true affordability, starting at 50% of AMI, meaning that some of the residents, in order to qualify to live here, some of the residents would be as low as 50% AMI the area median income, which is truly affordable. There's a range of AMIs that makes this, not 100% one way or the other, but it's 100% affordable overall. The project, because of the funding sources from the state, would be ultimately under a 50-year regulatory agreement, meaning that for the next 50 years, if this property is built, it would have to remain affordable. As was alluded to earlier, this parcel, not only this parcel, but the entire waterfront is subject to a current master tax agreement that was put in place a number of years ago in order to foster development on the waterfront. That 20-year, that tax agreement provided for a 20-year pilot agreement for all of the properties down at the waterfront and called for a $1,000 per unit pilot payment to be made on housing units at the waterfront. It should be noted that while this is affordable housing, that $1,000 per unit is the same number that's for the luxury housing on the waterfront as well. From my experience representing Georgica, and I've done projects all across Long Island, $1,000 per unit is very high for an affordable housing project. Georgica and other housing developers that do affordable are not paying $1,000 a unit. It's typically much lower than that, either half or a quarter of that per unit in order to make it affordable. So we're starting out here with a pretty high number of $1,000 per unit. The original plan here was for Georgica to use the 20-year pilot that was in place. And basically we came to the IDA and requested sales tax and mortgage recording tax exemptions for the construction and financing. And this IDA board actually granted that in August of 2020. Since then, because the state and everyone knows what the state and the economy generally has gone through, the pandemic, et cetera, has made funding very volatile. And the state has changed the mix of financing sources over that period of time, just since August. And the other thing that's happened, which is well reported, is that construction costs are continuing to go up, really at a much higher rate than could have ever been anticipated. The state and the funding sources require that we have a 30-year loan in place under the current financing mix. We've identified a lender that we're working with to grant that 30-year loan, but that lender requires a 30-year pilot to go along with their loan. The 20 years that we have in place, and granted it's a high number, is not sufficient to qualify and to meet the lender's qualification requirements. Because of that, we're requesting an additional 10-year pilot period. The 10 years to start after the balance of the 20 years is used up to make a total term of 30 years. That's very typical for affordable housing projects, across Long Island, and certainly in order to be financially feasible. In general, that's the case, and in this particular case, our lending sources and funding sources are requiring it. In terms of the project costs, in terms of the changes since the last time we were before this board, I would say that roughly they've gone up about 10%. When we were last before you, we projected project costs at around about $29 million. It's now up to approximately $32 million. So in addition to the 10-year additional pilot payment, we're also looking for additional sales tax and mortgage recording tax exemption to reflect the increased project costs. We've worked with the IDA's consultant, Kevin Grims, and we've given him all the numbers. These type of projects are extremely transparent. All the numbers are made available to all the government entities, to the public, and this is an open book. The IDA's own consultant has looked at this, and our understanding is that he agrees that this is a reasonable and necessary, request in order to make this project become a reality. I wanted to turn it over to Dave. I know we have limited time here, so I want to turn it over to Dave so you can hear a little bit about who he is, who the company is, and what they've done, because it's extremely impressive. I'm very personally proud to represent this company. They do, in my opinion, God's work in terms of, Long Island is an extremely expensive place to live. The Glen Cove waterfront is probably a great example of that, and this is going to do something that makes it available to all people and all income levels. So Dave, I don't know, Ann, if you can put on the PowerPoint or how we achieve that.
Dave or Allison can actually share the screen themselves if they would like, or I could put it up. They may have to unmute themselves at this time.
Thanks, Ann. I think I'm able to share.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks, Ann. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Millen, and Dan for that introduction. Listen, we're excited to be here today, and we're excited to talk about this project, and we look forward to hopefully seeing it come to fruition. As Dan mentioned, Georgica is a local affordable housing company based here on Long Island. I've lived on Long Island my whole life. I live in Port Washington right now. Our offices are in Jericho, and really founded the company to address the affordable housing need on Long Island. So we build affordable, we build senior affordable housing, we build downtown revitalization projects, and we've done it throughout all of Long Island, as you can see here on the screen. Our mission is to deliver high quality and sustainable housing. We don't believe, that affordable housing should be of any less quality. And we really, really work hard to strive that the buildings fit in with the community and the finishes are of the highest quality. And sustainable is really very important to us as well. All of our buildings meet and exceed New York State energy code requirements. We build LEED, we build passive housing, and in addition to really those two items, with our, which speak for our mission, but we believe that affordable housing has a place in every community. That diversity of race, diversity of age, diversity of income, diversity of religion make our communities better and make our children smarter. And we've worked on projects as far east as Amagansett in Southampton, where we were able to deliver the first affordable housing that those communities have ever seen and provide for their workforce and seniors. And we're as far west as Coney Island, where we've been able to deliver high quality housing for homeless veterans. And we're currently in construction in Westchester, delivering the first affordable domestic violence survivor building, which will total 219 units, and 77 of the units will be set aside for domestic violence survivors. So here's just a couple of pictures of things that we've done and built. The one on the lower right-hand corner is in Westbury here in Nassau County. That is senior affordable housing. And not too far away in Roslyn, we were selected by the North Hempstead Housing Authority to redevelop one of their public housing redevelopments called Laurel Homes. If anybody here would ever like to tour any one of our buildings or developments, just reach out to me or Allison or Dan. Allison, why don't you go to the next slide? This just gives you just a look at some of our finishes and things that we've done. These are just some random photos of recent developments that we've
Dave,
had.
can you just hold on one second? Can everyone please mute
Sure.
themselves? There's a lot of feedback still. If everyone can just please, except for the one speaking, if you can mute yourselves, because we're getting a lot of feedback. Okay, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Sure. No problem, Chairman. So, so here's just some interior shots. We didn't want to go to any great length, but we did want to show and describe to the community that may not know us that, our mission is to deliver high quality, affordable housing. We strive to deliver it to all communities. We believe in quality. We believe in sustainability. We're very excited about this project and hope that we could bring it to fruition soon. Things have been and always are in affordable housing complex. The program really is based upon Section 42 of the IRS Code, which we submit for tax credits. As Dan has mentioned, we were successful in receiving what was a very competitive award from New York State with an allocation of tax credits to make this project come to fruition and to make sure that this redevelopment does in fact have quality affordable housing along with all of the other great housing that's being built in the area. So anyway, that's a little bit about Georgica, and I'm here to answer any questions about the project or about Georgica Green. And thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dave. That was a good overview of Georgica Green. We're going to open this up for, I guess, Ann, do you want to moderate this now at this point?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dan. Good evening. My name is Ann Fangman, Executive Director of the Glen Cove IDA. I will be moderating this evening. Since we are holding this hearing over Teams, please keep your video and speaker muted until called upon. I will first ask any members of the IDA board or taxing jurisdictions to provide any questions or comment about the project. Please raise your hand in Teams. You should see that function at the top so that I may call upon you one at a time. If you are calling in over the phone, please wait until I have called upon those with their hands raised within Teams. When called upon, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you for your cooperation. Okay, so if anyone has any questions at this time, please, I see that actually our chairman has a question.
Yes, I do. And I just want to get an understanding for the public that either Dan or Mr. Gallo, Dan Deegan or Mr. Gallo can answer this question. The funding that you're getting from the state requires you to have the additional 10 years, otherwise they will not give you the funding. Is that what we're understanding to build this project? Is that a requirement?
Yeah. So let me answer, because and we put this in our letter to the IDA board requesting this. So the handbook that's put out by New York State basically requires that under this particular program we're in, that there's 30-year financing that's put in place. In turn, the bank, who, in order to give 30-year financing, given the restrictions on rents here, because remember the rents are regulated for 50 years, so it can only support so much. They want to see that during the term of their mortgage, which has to be 30 years, that the pilot payments are and taxes are controlled. As I indicated, these are already at a higher level than we normally would see for an affordable housing project. And I should also point out, in years 21 through 30 that are being requested here, it jumps up even higher. We've basically push the envelope here and feel that will work, and that ultimately will give the bank comfort that the project is feasible and pencils out during the entire 30 years, which is what's required. So it's not a simple, that's what the state requires, but it's because of the way that the structure is set up that's what needs to be done.
And Mr. Chairman, this is Millen Tyler. I can confirm in negotiations and conversations with the bank's attorneys, and there's both a construction lender and a long-term lender, they have both indicated to me that they require the additional 10 years so that it matches their total loan term.
I got you. Thank you for that answer. Ann, I'll turn it back to you for anyone else who has questions. I may have another one down the road, but I'll open it up for other members to ask questions.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Dan and Millen. Again, if there's any board members on with us tonight at this time, or any members of the affected taxing jurisdictions, now would be the time to please raise your hand to ask a question, or unmute yourself over the phone and please speak one at a time. Okay, I have another question from Ian Perspirica, one of our IDA board members. Ian, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
No, thanks. Thanks, Han.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question for the developers. So assuming the financial facilities are approved and financing is in place, is there any commitment on the start date of the project, and how long is the project anticipated to take for completion?
Thank you. I am off of mute, correct? Yeah. Okay. So we would look to start as early as the beginning of this summer. We are building permit ready, which is very, very exciting, and ultimately have many of the items, if not all of them, ready to proceed. So we're very excited about being at this stage and level. And we expect the project to take ultimately 18 months to be built.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Dave. If there's any other IDA board members at this time, or members of the taxing jurisdictions, if you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand in Teams or unmute yourself over the phone and please speak one at a time. And I'll just give that another moment in case there's anyone over the phone. And if you're over the phone, you might have to press *6 to unmute yourself. Okay. Not hearing anything else, I'm now going to move on to public comments and questions. I will ask members of the public if they have any comments or questions about the project. Again, please keep your video and speaker muted until called upon and raise your hand. Once I have called upon those with their hands raised, I will ask for comment for those over the phone. Please speak one at a time. When called upon, please state your name and address for the record. Thanks again. So if there's any members from the public that are on the meeting tonight and would like to ask a question, please either raise your hand in Teams, should see that function at top, or simply unmute yourself and please speak one at a time. Okay, I'm going to give this another minute. Again, this is an opportunity from members of the public to ask any questions or comments. Chairman, I'm not seeing any hands raised or anyone unmuting themselves.
Okay. Well, Ann, I just want to make a comment. There is in Glen Cove, I have to say, other than some very old sections of Glen Cove that have what we call affordable housing, this is the first really new project that is coming into Glen Cove that is seeking to build truly affordable housing in Glen Cove, which I can tell you from the number of phone calls that I get is very much needed in our city. I'm not speaking on behalf of the developer or I'm speaking on behalf of what I see as mayor of the city of the need for this, and I just want people to understand that this is again truly affordable type of housing. This is 50. How many units, Mr. Deegan? 52 units, 56. How many were there?
I have to unmute myself. Yeah,
55.
Yep.
55 units, which believe me, will I'm sure go very quickly with the need that's in Glen Cove. So, I am a proponent of affordable housing being available in Glen Cove, and to have an opportunity like this with a company that builds the quality housing that Georgica Green does. And again, I'm just saying this because I've done my homework. I've looked at this, and I'm just saying that it's needed. Whether the board makes a decision one way or the other, I just wanted to make sure that was clear. That this, based on my conversations with the residents in Glen Cove and the people looking for affordable housing in Glen Cove, there is a need for this. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Okay,
Thank you, Chairman. And I guess I'm just going to ask one last time before we move to conclude, if there's any members of the public that would like to make comment or be heard tonight, please speak at this time. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to just say thank you to Dave Gallo, our president of Georgica Green Ventures, and to his attorney, Mr. Dan Deegan, for coming on, as well as I think it was Allison Yoza, for the presentation. I want to thank everyone who is here, who is listening to this, for your participation. I think that this has started at least some meaningful dialogue that I'm hoping that will continue with discussions on this type of housing. And this is a very specialized type of housing that is going in Glen Cove. As I mentioned, if anyone has any other questions or comments regarding this, please send them in now between now and May 11th. At the IDA at 9 Glen Street, Glen Cove, New York, 11542, or you can email Ann Fangman, our director of the IDA, at afangman, FANGMANN, at glencovecda.org. And that's really it for the meeting at this point. And gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, I should say, for your participation tonight. The time is now 6:30, and we have another half hour. People wanted to speak about this, but I just really hope that this opens up some dialogue from the public, and I'd like to hear from more people from the public how they feel about this. I'm sure if they have comments, they'll write in and let us know. So with that being said, I want to wish everyone a great evening. The time is now 6:33, and we're going to end this public hearing at this time. We're going to keep it open. The public hearing will stay open. We're just closing for the evening. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chairman.
Chairman.
Okay,
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you, board members.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ann.